Rabbi Shapira, as I said.
I wasn't
I
drunk,
left
so I didn't do anything on purpose. It was just me
Yeah,
being
but you
stupid.
can't
I
tell a
wasn't
drunk guy when I ask what time shear is. The first guy posts a cup of scotch, and then you said 8:30, or is it 8:20? I'm like, how is that helping?
No, first I said 4:40.
Wait, was that apple?
Someone said 8:30 was too late. So I said, let's do it 4:40.
Well, that's what happens.
At least you can watch the video of the daf to see what you said.
I really should.
That's true.
Also, I have no idea. Where did we start
was
from
good, it was good.
yesterday? Oren, where did you start from?
We started from the Mishna. Was it a Mishna?
No, 6 lines up from the
No.
bottom. No,
Oh, we started
6
from
lines in the wide lines.
We started on
Ika
Ika
Damasnila? Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Wow. Mama Shanace Nigla that I was able to focus at all.
Yeah,
don't
well,
know.
you're a
I don't
step
know
ahead
how.
of me. I wasn't drunk, and you were a step ahead of me. If you could focus on that daf, let me tell you, that was.
That was a hard stop. By the way, it's Yaakov. Next time you want to get out of your abonis a little bit, it's Kedai. I think I was only able to understand it because I was drunk. I looked back at it this afternoon and like, wow, how did I do this?
Let me
I
tell
don't
you.
know. Yeah. And this morning when I got up, besides for the pain, I was like, thank you, Rabbi Shalom, for making Purim on Friday. Because I wasn't able to shower before Shabbos, so I still had the white stuff in my hair. At least it wasn't chatzitza for tefillin.
It was a very fine costume. You were like that last year too, right?
Yeah. Oh, wait, last year? 2 years ago. Last year, was there a thing by your mother? Dylan Kane?
I think so.
I thought my plumber's costume was the best.
Yeah.
I'm sure you did.
Whose costume?
He
His
came
own
and he
farmer costume.
Farmer. I thought he said that. I thought my grandma's costume was the best. I'm like, what?
Yes.
I think we should have Purim on Friday every year. I didn't realize how much I liked it.
Great.
Yeah, I'm with
Yeah.
So Yaakov, where are we up to?
you. We are
Mishna,
up to
bottom of Tzadi
the
Zayin on
Mishna,
the
the
base. The
bottom
Mafish
of
Bekeva.
Tzadi Zayin on the base.
Sadi Zayin on the days.
Who's Shana Daskal? Who's talking?
He's
Sounded
by
like
his
your
son, by his daughter. Yeah.
Oh, it is Rabaran. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Rabaran, I'll get the vav.
I'll call Paul Aaron, right?
Very good.
Good job.
Very good, Avi.
What did he say?
He said, "I call Aaron."
Oh, okay, very good. Thank you.
Mhm.
But
Okay,
we
ready
missed
to-
you on Purim, I gotta say.
I'm sorry, what, Yossi?
I said we missed you on Purim.
Missed also.
I got to make a l'chaim with Benny. I haven't made a l'chaim with him in over a year.
Oh, yeah, okay, good, very good.
Where'd you do
He sent
that?
me a picture of his house, so very
He
good.
came to my house, actually.
Yeah, good.
Aka?
Yeah.
Very good.
He was going out.
Rabaran.
No, he came for the suit a little bit.
Very nice.
Had a nice l'chaim together. He had his second
Right,
son
still
already,
in
a couple
Lakewood?
weeks ago. Yeah.
He's in Muncie.
Oh, wow. I think I'm still drunk. I don't know what's going on.
Anyways, okay, let's go because we got to finish this up before the ladies get on. Yeah. Zeb Ball, welcome back. Haven't seen you in a while. Okay. Tzadi Zayin Amabez again. Refuah Shalem for Shmuel Ben Devaira. Shmuel Ben Devaira. Okay, so second to last daf of Kodshim, and then we're back to regular Hilchos Pesach.
So where are you starting from?
Mishnah on Tzadi Zayin Amud Beis.
Wait, what'd you say? Where are we?
Mishnah Tzadi Zayin Amud Beis. We're good? Okay, so hamafresh nekeva lepischoi. If somebody is mafresh a nekeva for his korban pesach, female, right? The korban pesach has to be male. Ay zachar ben shtei shanim, or if it's 2 years old, now that doesn't mean 2 years old, because we know even one day over 1 year, that's it. He's no good, right? So yira. So what do you do with this? What do you do with this? So yira achi yistav. So what you do is you put it out to, like we've been learning, you put it out to graze, and until it gets a mum, and then what do? Then you sell it, and then you take the money and you make it to a korban shelomim. Yeah. Next Amud. Hamafish pischa yumeis. Let's say somebody is mafresh his korban pesach and then he dies. The son who yarshin, right? The son now yarshin the korban pesach, right? So he should not be makriv. Ella l'shem shlomim, but it should be, he should just take it and be makriv l'shem shlomim.
Does it matter if he was nimna as part of the chabura?
Oh, so that's exactly, this is talking about where there was no chabura, right? If there was other people in the chabura, then of course, then they could be makriv, right? Fine. So we see from this Mishnah we can learn out three different things in this Mishnah. We can learn out that an animal can become nidcha from being able to be makriv even when it's alive, as opposed to only when it gets shechted shaloi kedin, right? Yeah, and even after the reason why it's passul is no longer applicable, right? Because what do you do with the korbanos if you separated a what do you call it, a female or a 2-year-old or one, meaning the one in the second year? Meaning, why can't you just bring it as a shlomim? Why do you have to do this whole thing of putting it out to graze, let it get a mum, and then sell it, and then take the money, use the shlomim? Why can't you just bring it as a shlomim? Right? Because right, we said a korban pesach becomes a shlomim. Korban pesach is essentially a shlomim. Yeah, so that's what the Mishnah is saying. No, once it was nidcha, so it was nidcha. That's the first thing. When it's pushed off in the beginning, then it's pushed off, right? Meaning you can't be once it became nidcha, then it's no good, right? Meaning it's not. I didn't explain that right. Meaning nidcha meikara means that it was never kosher in the first place. Meaning it was never a kosher animal, right? I mean, it was a kosher animal. It was never kosher for the korban. What? For the korban pesach, correct? Right. So for pesach, right when you were mafresh it, right when you decided to bring it, it was already no good, right? And so we're saying from here that it doesn't have to be good and then be pushed off. It can be pushed off right from the beginning. And the third thing is shmami, yesh dichui b'damim. There is dichui with money, with the money that it's worth, right? So therefore, it's So therefore, even it doesn't only have to have kedushas haguf. It can have kedushas damim. Yeah, fine. Okay, so those are the three things we learn out from the Mishnah. Fine. Hamafish pischai. So talking about hamafish pischai umeis. If somebody separates his korban pesach and then he dies, so if his son is with him on the same korban, meaning they're part of the same chabura, so then like the case in the Mishnah was the son is not part of the chabura and there was nobody on the father's chabura, right? But here we're talking about where the son is together with the father. So then then you can bring it l'korban pesach, right? Because why not? There's still people that are kosher to bring that korban, the korban pesach. But if his son is not with him, you bring it as a korban shlamim on first day Cholamoyed, right? On Tes Zayin, not Tes Vav, Tes Zayin. So Gemara says
Tes Zayin today.
Very good. Tonight, right? Tonight is Tes Zayin. Very good, right? So the Gemara says the Yud Vav in the Tes Vav Loi, right? So on the 16th you bring it, but not on the 15th. Yeah, because it becomes a nadava. And in Nadava, he holds that you can't bring a Nadava on Yom Tov because you can bring it after Yom Tov. What? Why should you be mechal Yom Tif just to bring in a dove according to the shita? Wait till afterwards. So now the Gemara is going to ask on when exactly did this father die. So demis ha'av amos. When did the father die? If he died before chatzos, which means he died before this man to bring the korban pesach. If the son is with him, right, they should bring it for a korban pesach. We're talking about he becomes an einin. The son now becomes an einin, and we learned in the Mishna a couple of blot ago that if there's just the einin is the only guy on the korban, you don't bring his korban pesach because we're afraid that there's a chashash that he's going to become tamei meis. So if he's with a bunch of chevra, so then we keep him on there. We can bring makarit because it'll be kosher for the others. But if it's just him alone, so then we're afraid that he might become tamei meis, and then the whole korban is going to end up becoming passul. Ella, again, we're talking about a case where it's just the father and the son and the chabura. That's it. Yeah. Ella, the misachra chatzos. We're talking about where the father must have died after chatzos, which means that the korban pesach was kosher right after chatzos. So then, what about the other case? If the son is not with him, then you bring it for shelomim. It was already kavuas chatzos, right? Yeah. So since it's chatzos, it was already kosher. So it's not. It's and then memela, meaning it was already a korban pesach that has nobody on it. So therefore, why should it be brought as a shelomim? So the Gemara is trying to figure out exactly what the case is. So the Gemara brings a bunch of tiruts. Amar Rava, lo'ilam demis kaidach chatzos. Rava says really talking about would it die before chatzos? L'shum pesach sheni, a big chiddush. When he says you bring it like shema korban pesach, it's for pesach sheni because you can't bring it for pesach rishon because again we're afraid that he's the only guy on the korban and he's an einin, even though the aninus goes away by night, but we're afraid that he's going to make it tamei. You have to learn it, meaning we have to put the Mishna, it's talking about two different cases. Meis achar chatzos, if he died after chatzos, and b'nai mamuna imai, and the son is with him on the korban, then he brings it as a korban pesach. Meis kaidem chatzos, but he dies before chatzos, ain't b'nai mamuna imai, and the son is not with him, then it should be brought for a shlomim. Right, since it was you never had it after chatzos. So Mamela, it's telling you two separate dinim. We're not mixing before chatzos and after chatzos. Rav Sharbi has a difference. That's lo'ilam demis lachos. It's not where he died after chatzos. So what was our problem? Ukagain shaya aviv geisis b'chatzos. It's somewhere where the father was a geisis by chatzos, meaning he was about to die. Right. So and Mamela, since he was about to die, he was still alive after chatzos, so then the korban was kosher, right? But if the father was together with the son in the same chabura, meaning in their own exclusive chabura, right? So he would, if he's the only one, how does it go? If he was only one with him, then if he died after chatzos and he was a geisis, so then most geisesim don't make it alive. But Lamaisi was not yet an einin, right? Right, yeah. So that's that teretz. That's the third teretz. Rav Ashi Omer, the fourth teretz. Rav Ashi says lo'ilam demis lachar chatzos. Somewhere where he died after chatzos. Reb Shimoni, it's going to Reb Shimon. The Omer ain't balei nitfin. It's going. Excuse me. It's going according to Reb Shimon, who holds that balei chayim don't get pushed off forever, right? So since it's going with Reb Shimon, so since it's after chatzos, yeah. So it could be even though it was lamaisa at chatzos kosher to be makar as a korban pesach, right? And then became a problem after he died, but it can become a shlomim. It can go back to shlomim after Pesach or after the first days, and then Mamela. It'll be fine to bring us a shlomim. Ravina Ravina Amakagon Shafrishu Acher Chatzos. It's talking about where they separated after Chatzos. Umesu Bailam Acher Chatzos. And the owner died after Chatzos because Savar Chatzos Keva, but he goes with the Shita that holds. Right? We had a machlokes about this 2 blot ago. Whether it's a machlokes, whether Chatzos is Kaveh or not. Right? So therefore, not machlokes. So he's paskening, he's going with the Shita that holds. A Chatzos is Kava. And then since both of them were on there at Chatzos, and then the korban is kosher. Right? But if he wasn't, it was just the father, then you bring it as a shelomim. Yeah.
Wait, it wasn't a machlokes? But it was a machlokes.
It wasn't. It wasn't.
Kaveh was not shkita kaveh.
Right. It was whether chatzos is because he's
Oh,
going.
okay.
Sorry. Yeah. He's going with the shita that holds the chatzos is kaveh, not this man shchita. Right. Meaning exactly by chatzos, it's kaveh. It's kaveh. Right. And now it can be a korban pesach, and then that's it, right? Yeah. Unless 1 second, you're saying. I think he really is saying that chatzos is kaveya, and that's it. Once you kaveya it by chatzos, then nothing after that. We don't care what happens. That's really. It was kaveh. They were kaveh by chatzos, and that's it. Okay, so that's that case.
But according to that, why is it brought as a shlomim? Or how can it be brought as a shlomim?
Why not?
It also needs to say that it's not nidcha then la'ilam. If it's nidcha la'ilam, then it's a korban pesach that can't be brought. So it should be yirat shistoev or mace or whatever.
Well, no, that's what we're saying. For this thing. No, for this, since it's the father, it goes, since the father was on it and now he's not, well, then all you have to do is go straight. You don't have to do the whole yirat sheyistah because there was nothing passul about the korban. It's the group. It's the
there is no
yirat sheyistah is only if the korban itself was not qualified. Here, that's not the issue.
I don't.
Right?
In a free shuach, the father was the only one in the chabura, right? There was no chabura, it was just the father. And he was mafresh it after chatzos, so it became a fully fledged korban pesach because he holds chatzos covered. Mesu balim after chatzos. So now you have what? You have the korban pesach that cannot be brought. How do you switch it to a shlomim?
Because there's nothing passul about the korban pesach.
Is this where the son is with the father?
Oh,
no, he's not.
The son is not with the father. It was just the father.
Just
no,
the father.
This case is going
with the father.
This case, the Gemara here is talking about with the father.
But he
The son is with the father.
What?
The son is with the father.
Right. Here's talking about this case here. We're talking about was the son is with the father. Right. That's okay. Very good. Fine. So Zog the Mishna. HaPesach shenisara bezvachim. So now you have the korban pesach and it got mixed in with other korbanos. Like with an asham, Rashi says with an asham and an oil. Now all these different korbanos have different ways of being makar of them, right? Which Be'ez Hashem will see in Zvachim. But they have all these different ways of being makar of them. Where you put the blood and which part of them is bech, you put the blood, etc., etc. So the problem is they all mixed up now. So what do you do? So because you might mess up the korbanos. We know Zrikas Adam is a very important component to the to a korban. So if you mess it up, so what are you gonna do? So Mishna says, Kulan Yiroachi, so all the animals you have to put out until they get a mum. Then what you have to do, then v'yimachru, like the last Mishnah, then you sell the animals. Then what you have to do is whichever one was the nicest animal, you have to buy one for each type of korban. So let's say it's for an oila and a chatos and a korban pesach, and the most expensive of the three animals, let's say, was $10. And let's say one animal was $10, the other one was $5, the other one was $5. So you have to spend $10 on all three. And who's losing out the money? And the extra money you're just going to have to pay for yourself. So again, you had 3 korbanos, right? One was worth more than the others. They got mixed up. You have no idea which one is which. So you put it out till it gets a mum, because that's what you have to do with korbanos that you're not sure what to do with. Then you sell them. Then you take the money and buy 3 of them. Let's say it was 3 korbanos that got mixed up together. You buy the most expensive of whichever animal is the most expensive. You have to buy 3 of those, which obviously is you're not gonna have the money to pay for that unless the price of animals went up in the interim, right? Because if it was originally worth $10, one was worth $10, the other 2 were worth $5, right? So you should be getting them. You should be able to sell them for $20, but you have to buy 3 animals for $10 each. So you're down $10 again, because we're afraid that if you're gonna take the cheaper animal and put the money onto an animal that should have been more expensive. So now you're not paying back the kachim properly. So therefore you have to spend them all the money. You have to spend, each korban has to go with the max, and that's it. So erev, and then you have to lose the money from your own house. Erev bechor. Let's say
Kachim had a $20 stake in the whole thing. So why, as long as I spend $20 on all 3, why am I not?
No, the animal, you have a $10 animal that you didn't properly paid it for the right amount of money.
Well, the pidyon was good. I was paid to them all.
Yeah, but it was worth $10 and you only did a $5 pidyon on it if it was the wrong animal.
Oh, I don't understand that. Okay.
Why? Yeah, okay.
I don't understand what's going on. He has 3 animals. One's 10, one's 5, one's 5.
Right.
He was paid to them for $20.
He wasn't paid. He put them out to graze. You got to put them out to graze. They get a mum. Now he sells them.
Right.
Now he's buying 3 more animals to replace them. He has to replace the kachim.
So when he sold them, he got what it was worth, right?
Right, but now he owes these korbanos.
Right.
He owes them, right? So he owed a $10 korban, and
then
he takes the $5, right? He takes the $5 korban and puts it onto the 10. But again, he doesn't know which animal's which. So he could be spending $5 on the chatas when really he should have been spending 10 on the chatas. Right?
Is this a bizoyan kind of thing? What is this then?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's part of it, yes.
But if he Lamaisa did not spend the extra $10, he's yoytze with fire. This is a lechatchila, what he should do.
Yeah.
If he didn't do it, he's going to be yoytze.
Yeah.
Ultimately, he brought an island on him in a pesach. He did his job.
Right. And then there's also an interesting thing. Let's say it doesn't get, it's this talking about on Pesach, right? One of them is a Pesach. Let's say it takes a week and a half for it to get a mum. Now what do? Pesach is over. Right? So Rashi says you bring it as a shelomim, as we've been saying. The Korban Pesach is just a shelomim. Right? Fine. Let's say the Korban Pesach gets mixed in with bechoros. If it's a chabur of kaihanim, then you could eat it. Right? So because kaihanim are allowed to eat a bechor. So even if you messed it up, let kaihanim eat them, and then mamela, you're fine. You're fine both ways. Yeah. Okay. So zok the Gemara. So how can you give it to the kaihanim? You're making kachim lebes passul. Meaning, if it's a bechor, you get 2 days and a night. If it's a pesach, you get 1 night. So if you're taking the bechor, we're saying for kaihanim, let the kaihanim eat the korban pesach or the bechor. Mamanav shachar kohen's allowed to eat it, right? So how can you do that? So because you're making the bechor be eaten for 1 day less, actually 1 full day less. So Reb Shimon letamei, Reb Shimon according to what he said, Reb Shimon holds you are allowed to make kachim have a shorter time to eat it, which will mele cause them to become passul earlier. The Tanan, Asham shenasara b'shlomim. If you have a korban asham that gets mixed up with a korban shlomim, Shimon Omer yishachtu b'tzafon. You shecht it on the north side, and you do it as you eat it as the chumrah, right? Now, the shlomim is considered kachim kalim, and asham is considered kachim. So kachim go on. They get shechted on the north side of mizbeach. Shlomim gets shechted anywhere. So we treat it as a chumrah, and you got to go with the north side. And you eat it with the strict halachos, whichever one has the stricter halachos. That's what you have to do, right? Meaning it has to be eaten in the what is it called, in the Beis Hamikdash, and only by Kohanim, and one day and a night, right? Shelomim, it can be anywhere in Yerushalayim, and anybody could eat it, and you get 2 days and a night, etc., etc. Fine. So Amalai, so they said to him, "Ein mevi in kachim lebeis passul." They told him, "No, you can't do that because you bring in kachim to beis passul, because let's say it was a shelomim, right? So you're lowering the amount of time that it could be eaten." So Gemara says, "Rabbanon heichi avdina." What about the Rabbanon who disagree with Reb Shimon? How do you do it that you're making it have a shorter time? The bechor, if you make it into a korban pesach. No, what the Rabbanon hold you have to do is you wait until it becomes a balmum, and then you take a fat animal, meaning what it means is an animal that costs a lot of money. And say, wherever the korban pesach is, tachal alei, it should be chal on this. It should be chal on this. The Torah is bechor balmum, and then you eat it as a bechor that's a balmum. Right? Meaning, what does that mean, a bechor balmum? So a bechor balmum also has some kedusha to it, which is, I think, what you were really referring to before Gershon. Right? It's bechor balmum is regular chulin, but you can't sell it in the street. Rashi goes through something. You can't sell it in the street. You have to treat it with some sort of chashivas. You're not allowed to sell it exact weight. You have to do it by estimating the weight, etc., etc. Okay, so that's the way. So again, Reb Shimon holds it doesn't bother him that you're lowering the eating time. It's no problem. And the Chacham and Rava says that what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to wait for it to get a balmum. You bring a fatty behema and say that it's gonna be wherever the korban pesach is gonna be chal on this, and then you eat it as a bechor. Okay. Talk the Mishna. This Mishna basically talking about if they lost their korban pesach and they're trying to figure out. I mean, people go out, they send out search parties, right? They send out search parties to go look for it. But what happens if they don't? And they're going to replace it with another korban. But let's say while one does it, the other one finds it, right? So Mamela, which pesach gets the kedusha?
So it had a name tag
many
on it?
Cases. What?
It had a name tag on it with your name on it?
That's a good question.
How else would they find it? How else would they find yours?
I don't know.
So it had a name tag, it must be.
It must be had a name tag, or they recognized it. You get a guy, some guys really recognize.
You got attached to your korban pesach here, and now you recognize it?
I hope not, because you might have some separation anxiety when you shecht it, right?
I'm saying it's.
I don't know. Don't get too close to it, right? Wouldn't be such a smart idea. But
if Simon was on, he would be telling us about his relationship with his dogs.
Yeah, you're right. That's true. But I don't know how much a relationship you have with a cow, or not a cow. I'm sorry, a calf or a sheep that you're about to shecht.
According to the Indian guys, they're smarter than dogs.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. So Chabura sha'avad pischa. A Chabura that lost its korban pesach. V'amru le'echad se'u bikesh u'shchait aleinu. Go out, find it, and shecht it for us. V'halach u'matzav v'shachan. He went and he shechted it. V'heim laku v'shachtu, and they gave up on him. And they also went and shechted it. So now what? So now we have two korbanos. So what's going to be? So im shaloi nishchat rishon. Okay, but here the main point in this first case is they appointed him as their shliach. Right? So since they appointed him as the shliach, so im shaloi nishchat rishon, if he shechted his first, it's also tough to do this without watches, to know exactly what time you shechted.
They're both being shechted in the same Beis Hamikdash?
L'chayra.
And they didn't bump into each other.
I guess there was a big crowds over there getting back to that same.
People there.
Yeah, I mean, at least except for that year, there was only 80 people. But yeah, I imagine in the new Beis Hamikdash, Be'ezus Hashem B'Korov, they're going to have barcodes, and it's going to be a whole matziv, and not all these mishnayos are not going to be nageya. That's what I would think. But okay, so inshallah, you'll probably have a big board on the top, like with
Amazon's going to get involved. Amazon's going to run it.
You're saying that they're going to allow smartphones into the Beis Hamikdash?
Oh, you're right. I hear. I hear you'll get an alert when you when it's shechted. Start eating now. Okay, yeah. So im shaloi nishat. It's Fort Purim tonight, right? At least somewhere. So im shaloi nishat rishon. So if his got shechted first, who oichel mishaloi, he eats his. V'heim oichlin imay mishaloi, and they eat his with him because he was a shliach, right? Yeah. And then what do you do with theirs? What's with the second one that they shechted? Right? Mishna doesn't say. Rashi says they have to burn it. They have to burn it. And if theirs gets shechted first, they eat theirs, and then he eats his. Right? Because when he can't be part of theirs because they shechted it without him, l'chayra. Right? He never became part of theirs. He didn't know that they were going to shecht their own. And if he doesn't know which one was shechted first,
They told him to go look for it.
He was
never
part
was
of the
part-
Chabura.
he is part of the chabura, but Lamaisa, he never included himself on this new korban. He was supposed to be on sheep A. Sheep A is lost.
But he didn't. So he's going to leave himself without a carbon. He's doing the chesed. He's the volunteer to look for it. But meanwhile, he's going to end up without a carbon.
You're right. Isn't that
don't
saying
volunteer
no
for
good,
anything.
yes,
No
exactly.
good deed goes unpunished.
No good deed goes at 100%. 100. Yeah, that's what comes out. You're right. That's what I don't know. That's what Rashi says. That's what Rashi says that he's not included on theirs. That's a Gemara. The Gemara is saying who oichel mishaloi v'heim einam oichel nimai. Right? That's and v'shalahen yotza lebeis hasreifa. Right? And there's. Did I just jump? Did I lose? I think I did. No, yeah, I skipped 3 lines. I'm sorry. If theirs gets shechted first, let's say you don't know which one got shechted first, or they got shechted at the exact same time. I would love to know how they know that, right? Right. So so then he eats theirs, and now they're getting messed over. They're not allowed to eat his. And theirs goes out to Beis HaSreifa, right? Meaning, because if his was shechted first, so then they're not. This second korban is no good, right? Upaturim elastis Pesach Sheni, but they're potter from Pesach Sheni because since Lamaisa, one of these korbanos was good enough for them, right? We had this way back, a bunch of blood ago. Lamaisa, you can't eat it because we don't know. We don't know if it's theirs or not, but the push comes to shove. One of them was a kosher korban pesach, and they were included in it. Fine. So that's the first case. Amr lahen emecharti. Let's say he says, the shliach says, if I'm not back by a certain time, tzuva shachtu alai, you go shecht on me. This is the opposite case. Halachu matzav shachtat. He went and found this and he shechted it. Vehein lachu v'shachtu, and they gave up on him and they shechted. So he was included on theirs, but they were not included on his, right?
Why not? He was their shliach.
No, but he told them, if I don't come back at a certain time, then shecht for me.
But that doesn't mean that doesn't work the other way because he's still their shliach.
No, but he didn't. This is after that certain time, so he should have been on their chabura for whatever. I don't know why he decided to shecht on his own. Maybe he thought he couldn't make it home. Whatever it is, they're not on his. He made up with them. If I don't come back by a certain time, shecht for me. So they shechted for him, and then he shechted one on his own. So he wasn't having them in mind. Right? So because he's part of their chabura. They eat theirs and he eats it with them. He eats his, and they eat their own. If we don't know which one got shechted first, or they both shechted at the same time. They eat theirs, he can't eat with them. And his goes out to Beis HaSreifa, and Patum Elastis Pesach Sheni, and his Patum from Pesach Sheni, because Lamaisa, one of these is kosher for him, he's just not allowed to eat it. But Lamaisa, he was Yaitza, right? So, Uri, you should have brought this up. You brought this up last time. Comes out, we're going according to the sheet that it holds you don't have to eat. You don't remember when you made that horror? Okay, good. You don't remember? Okay. So
Now, how could it ever be that Shalom Yatzil Beis Streifa? He has the real Korban Pesach.
We don't know because we're talking about a case where we don't know whose was first. We don't know who's on first.
What's the
There you go,
difference? Who
another
was
Ritzav.
first?
What?
His was the one he has, the one he
Yeah, but
shechted.
once they shecht, that his is not a Pesach anymore because the Chabura shechted a korban.
Right.
It's not. You're right,
Now,
but it's not.
how would they? No. One
That's
second.
right. I agree with that for once.
What are you saying?
No.
I agree with
With
that.
what? But they all,
V'nahapachu, yeah.
We're about to have a
Okay.
kumzitz and sing Achenu.
they were mafresh, the one that he shechted as the Korban Pesach, right? If it wouldn't have gotten lost, and they decided, oh, we're going to shecht another animal for a Korban Pesach, you throw away his one.
Well, because which case are you talking about? Where they didn't know which? Here we're talking about the last case. The last case, we don't know which one is which.
How do we not know which one is which? What does that mean?
You don't know who was shechted first. That's all. You don't know which one was shechted first.
But we know that the one he shechted is the original Korban Pesach.
Doesn't matter. It has
Just-
to be shechted to be Korban Pesach. It's a
It was
candidate.
lost.
for
We
Korban
don't
Pesach.
know
So
if
now
it
we
was
found a
shechted.
new. You
If
got a new
theirs-
one, and the first one
If-
loses its shame
Right. If they were shechted
How?
first,
How could the first one lose its shame?
because
Possibly?
they lost it and they got a
Because
replacement.
Gershon, it's
So now
the
it's
Korban
gone, and they
Pesach.
shechted it first. So now
the
the old,
Korban Pesach for
the
the-
original
right.
one has no longer a shame of it.
It's
Right.
not a Korban Pesach till it's shechted.
yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, okay, so let's be up because we gotta go. I gotta go. Sorry, but Amr Lahen v'Amru Loi. Okay, so now we get into deeper cases. He said to them, and they said to him, right? Eichlin. Now then, what happened? They both said, if you don't come at a certain time, we're gonna go. You go your way, and we'll go our way. Right? So now Eichlin Kulan Min Arishon, they could all eat from whichever one got shechted first, because everybody's together. Now this is the case that Eilan was thinking. Here, everybody's ba'achtas, right? B'mein Yedua Ezem and Nishra Rishon. We don't know which one was shechted first. Shneim Yotzim Beis Streifa. They both go out to the Beis Streifa. Lo Yamar Lan v'Lo Yamru Loi. Let's say nobody said anything. And Achrayim Zalzeh, they're not. There's no Achrayis. They're considered separate entities. Right, and each one's going to eat on their own Pesach. Makes no difference. Rashi says which one was shechted first. Fine. Now another case. You have two chaburas, and their Korban Pesach got mixed up. Right. So now what? We know that you have to eat. You can only eat the Korban Pesach that you're part of the chabura. If you swap the animals by mistake, everybody's eating a Korban Pesach that's not fitting for them. So each one pulls one to themselves. Then what we do is we take one representative from each chabura and they go over to the other chabura, right? And one from this one goes to the other one, right? And this is what they say: right? If the pesach that we have here is ours, then you're taking your hands off of yours. V'nimnis al shalono, and you're going to become part of ours, right? Meaning, give up your chelik in the other korban and come to ours. And if you're really supposed to be on this animal, again, because we got confused and we don't know which one is which. We're giving up ours, and we're going with you, right? So therefore, now, right? So that's we're going to see. Okay, we'll see in tomorrow, Bez Hashem. Why do you have to do this? Why can't the chaburas just say this to each other and say, if ours is ours, then right? Ours is ours. We're resigning. Right, back and forth. Why do you need to just do it one? Okay. If you have 5 chaburas, each one from 5, and 10 groups with 10 people. What they do is they pull one from each chabura, and then they do the same thing. Fine. Next case, 2 people, meaning they don't have any group. It's a guy each one have their own private Korban Pesach, but then they got mixed up. Each one takes an animal to themselves. Each one appoints one from the shuk. I'm sorry. This one comes to this one. This one comes to that one. This is what they say. If this korban pesach is mine, right? Your hands, you take back your hands from yours. When you're going to be part of mine. And if yours is this pesach, mine is pulled away from me, and I'm going to be on yours. Right? Now, the reason why, Rashi says, why do you need to pull? Why can't they do this? We're going to discuss this tomorrow. Why can't they just swap this out with each other? Because for 1 second there, the pesach is not going to have any owner. Right? For 1 second when the swap is going on, because each one's saying, I don't know if it's yours, I don't know. So when they're swapping, for that little fraction of a second, there's going to be no owners on this korban pesach, which then makes the korban pesach passul. So like this, if each one brings a new guy on board, right, then there's going to be a bow for the korban pesach, and then they're just backing out from each one, and then they go on to the other one. Okay, we'll continue this tomorrow, Bez Hashem. All right, I'm sorry, but I got to sign it off.
Yaakov.
Yeah.
The Yerushalmis, the guy that Yerushalmi's Rebbetzin is telling him, you didn't buy a korban yet, you didn't buy a korban. He says, wait, these chutzniks are coming. None of them are too bright. I'll get on a Pesach. Don't worry, we'll have a Pesach.
Right.
We'll have one,
Yeah.
This whole thing is like a synthetic derivatives contract or something,
That's okay, that's part of it. Yeah.
Shikoyach, I get the vach. Good year.
Okay, good year, and everybody should be whole and healthy.